Relations Committee, open for business. We're waiting on our co-chair to arrive. And this is my call out and my plea to Benton Harbor residents. We do not have a citizen rep on this committee, a very important committee about communications and public relations, and we need your input. So please come to the clerk's office, one-page document, fill it out, and we can do bigger and better things in communication with your help. So that's a plea. I did read the minutes for July the 22nd. Seems like everything is appropriate, so I'm just gonna approve it. And we just approved the minutes for July the 22nd. Our co-chair came in, and I guess our next thing on the agenda is a public hearing for the CAPER for 2023. And I'll give that over to our intern city manager, who has all the questions and answers, everything about this report.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. This is an annual event. The CAPER, which stands for Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, is done each year within 90 days after the close of the fiscal year. Our fiscal year closed on 6/30. Is this on? Doesn't seem to be. Now we're on. The fiscal year ended June 30, and the CAPER has to be submitted to HUD before the 90-day period after the close of the fiscal year. So we're holding the public hearing tonight, which is simply to report the results and acknowledge any comments that are made. And we'll start with this by just going to just a moment. Okay. Well, we kind of jumped over some. City of Benton Harbor's 2021 to 2025 consolidated plan is carried out through annual action plans. Annual action plans provide a concise summary of the actions, activities, and resources that will be used each year to address the priority needs and specific goals identified by the consolidated plan. The city reports on accomplishments and progress toward the consolidated plan goals in the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER. See if I can get this back onto the same page with this. Okay. The CAPER is required by HUD and by the federal legislation. The CAPER includes a report on resources and investments, a report on goals and outcomes, a report on progress towards providing affordable housing, demographic composition of individuals and families assisted, and citizen participation efforts. Okay. Source of funds is Community Development Block Grant. The resources made available for fiscal year 2023 was $690,516. The amount expended during the program year was $788,037. Just for a brief bit of history, you will recall that When I came on board in October of 2020, the city was backed up in the neighborhood of $1.5 million as unspent. We were in violation of the spending rule, and our program was shut down. After coming on board and starting to respond to the things that HUD was requiring us to do, by March, I believe, of 2021, they released the 2019 funds, and a couple of months later, in May, they released the 2020 funds. And at that time, it was time for us to submit the next 5-year plan, which went from 2021 to 2025, I believe. So at that point, we were up to $2 million. And the same rule that said by May 5th of each succeeding year, the grantee was supposed to have spent 80% of all funds available to it. Well, naturally, we did not get it done in that fiscal year or the next, because it was just too much to do to ramp up. And I'm sure you all recall at that time, I was off and on pretty much by myself. But we worked on it and continued to go forward to try and accomplish that. Okay. Goals and outcomes. Goals for the program year 2023 are to expand and improve public infrastructure. Indicate goal, 1,000 persons assisted. And outcome is we concluded that we actually served everyone in the city with the program. The major public infrastructure program was, in fact, the sidewalk program, where we constructed new sidewalks pretty much all over the city. 2A, housing rehabilitation. We initially projected we would get 3 households assisted. We did 7. Public services for low, moderate income and special needs. We projected some 400 persons, and again, we felt as though we served the entire city. Affirmatively further fair housing. We set up a session for fair housing and had the fair housing office out of Kalamazoo come in and teach the course. We had 12 people attend. The CAPER has been made available to the public for a period of 15 days, September 9th to September 25th. Public hearing is tonight at September 23rd. CAPER is available on the City of Benton Harbor's website, as indicated here, and has been now for some time. CAPER will be submitted on or before September 28, 2024. And with that, any citizens' comments, we would ask, as HUD has indicated to us before, that we take citizen comments first and then close that part of the public hearing. And then if anybody else has questions or comments, because we transmit to HUD exactly what that record shows. So do we have any citizen comments?
Any citizen comment? You got any questions, any concerns, please. If you don't understand, get an understanding.
Well, I'd like to know what's going on with this building across the street.
That's not the
It's
subject.
got nothing to do
Oh,
with
okay,
this.
it's still HUD.
It's got nothing to do with this.
Okay,
No, this has to do with our community block grant money.
so what the
And
project,
what the city has decided to do with it and what's happening with it.
And more importantly, what has been done with it
What
in the
has been
last
done
year.
for 23, year 2023.
so what's the plan for next year? What,
Well, we do have a plan, 'cause we gave a 5-year plan that started in 2021. So there is a 5-year plan. And for 23, he's showing us what actually happened during that year.
will there be any partnership with any local developer in the near future with the housing?
Again, that's not a part of what we're doing here. This is for comments on the prior year's performance as we reported tonight.
All right, no other questions.
Yes, sir.
You provided public
Would
service.
you come to the mic, please, sir, because we can't hear you back there.
Say you provided public services
Mhm.
for 400 people
Yes, sir.
that were assisted.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me some of the ways that they were, how were they in need and how were they assisted?
Certainly will.
And you said 9,617 persons assisted, 9,617 people assisted. Can you tell me how you assisted all of them?
Well, that basically is the entire city population.
So you helped everybody in the city? And
Well-
how was that?
There were a number of different things that went on, and when we assess how people were assisted or facilitated, one of the programs was the illegal dumping program that we've been conducting using a couple of these LVT units like you see out at Walmart or at Lowe's, where we move these cameras around to different places where there's dumping. We clean up the dump site, leave the cameras there for some time, watch what's going on. And it typically has had the effect people stop dumping there, but they unfortunately many times would go to other places and we would move around again there. In addition, public services included such things as our summer youth program for the number of children that were allowed to work over the summer, representing a significant number of families in the community. Also, senior services. We had and still have a contract with the Senior Nutrition Services that does Meals on Wheels. And in addition, we fund additional fruits, vegetables, and proteins that they deliver to the homebound clients that they're serving. So it's through those type of programs that we service the whole city.
Is there any other thoughts and concerns? Yes, ma'am. Step up.
Sorry about that. You said a lot of money that was lost,
I'm sorry.
that was sent back because it wasn't spent.
There was
No,
no
we
money
didn't-
sent
We
back.
didn't have to send it back.
What happened to it?
We actually spent it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Or you didn't lose any money or anything? Because I'm looking, I thought I heard him say that.
We were going to if we hadn't spent it.
Okay,
Eligible expense.
all right. Do they have any plans on building any more homes or trying to help the homeless in any kind of way?
I've kind of perused our consolidated plan for up to 2025, and I didn't see very much assistance for homeless. They are working with the city. It did say that it was working with other agencies that help with homelessness, but we do have I'll let Mr. Little tell about the housing.
Actually, if we might, I'd like to do that as soon as we close this. We need to get any additional comments on the keeper performance.
And exactly what is the caper?
The keeper is a consolidated annual performance and evaluation report that we just went through.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So these, the people you have plans on going to ask, who do you go to ask for help? And you really get it here in Benton Harbor? For as the homeless, the homeless people?
There is some, and we need to talk about it, but because we're just trying to look at this caper right now,
Yes, ma'am.
and the details that are put in this 5-year plan, it needs to be talked about again. I don't know if it's gonna come out of this committee or another committee, but the people need to hear that, and they need to know where they could go and get this report and read it, or just come to a meeting and we discuss it. It's all about what the citizens need. This money is allocated just to Benton Harbor residents, nobody else. There's no other money but except
Madam Chairperson, doesn't appear to be any other comments on this, so we can close this. I'll gladly go into the
one more
discussion on the other.
to the chair, the co-chair.
You still need to close your public hearing
Okay.
for the
Did you
citizens.
get your question answered, ma'am?
In some ways, but I'll be back.
Okay,
I'll be able to answer you in just a moment. We're just
Thank
closing
you,
this.
because I need some answers, because a lot of these places, they say they're funding money for the homeless and for help. They're not doing it. So where's the money going?
we'll have that conversation. Any more
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments or concerns about the caper, from the citizen?
Are there any, what are some of the future plans for the caper?
And we're only talking about the year 23. And so
What you've
once
done already, okay.
once we get
Okay.
this complete, because that's really pretty much completed. It pulled us out of the hole, basically. So we're only dealing with 23 right now.
Okay.
Do we have any more thoughts, concerns, questions? I can go. Hearing none, and we'll close the public hearing. And we'll let our co-chair speak.
One of my concerns is documentation. I'd like to see some of the people that is getting the actual benefits from this program that you just spoke about. And we could have an actual picture as exactly this money that is going wherever, because we can apply a name to it, an address. And these are just things of being transparency. And too many times, there's not anything that follows up documentation. When you ask for paperwork or anything concerning the financial part, you're blocked from that. And I can understand the suspicions of the different people in the community, because they talk to me very often and ask me questions, which I'm not able to give them because I don't have the answers. So what I'm talking about, where do we find the paperwork as to the individuals that receive some of this money? They put it all in one vein, that they remove tires or whatever with some of the money. But we do need to know with the invoice or paperwork, is to know in a clear way where exactly who did it go to? And I know what this young lady is talking about that came up, and she wanted answers about the monies because it's not always transparent. We get a whole lot of hoopla about the money did this and that, but we don't have people that come forth and said they benefited from it. So we'd like to have names, more clarity, more more of a picture as to where the documentation is. Where can we find it?
You won't be able to find it because a lot of that information is confidential. But the names and the specifics of the people, that's confidential. The cost and expenditure and that's not necessarily, that's public information. We have no problem with making that available. HUD has a mountain of processes to ensure that this stuff is done right. As a matter of fact, in June of this past year, I believe HUD was here. They had 2 people here for a full week that looked at records, both here at City Hall in terms of the payment. They went to the contractor and looked at their records. They just randomly picked some of the people we provided services to and went to visit them along with the folks from the subcontractors that were providing the service and myself. And they talked to the people, they looked at what they did, they took pictures and so forth. And when they concluded, they were satisfied. That's different than saying that all of that information is going to be just laid out somewhere for somebody. That's not, they don't even do that with the auditors. What they do is come in and just randomly pick a percentage of them and check them and be sure that everything is there. But believe me, there are processes in place to make absolutely certain that this federal money is spent right. Secondarily, I mean, with all due respect, this isn't enough money maybe the 2 million was when we were behind that far, but we got 411,000 last year, we got 389,000 this year. It's not the kind of money that, you're gonna have any major problems with, and we break it down entirely as to how much we spent on, housing rehab, how much we spent on food and nutrition, how much we spent on trying to deal with getting rid of dead trees and whatnot. So there are no secrets about it. We'd be glad to provide you the general information. That's what we're in fact trying to do. But as far as talking about invoices, no, we're not gonna do that.
Well, what I'm thinking about with dollars that come into our city, and you have a separate monies that take care of trees and, as you mentioned, some of these things. I thought these were dollars that were supposed to go direct to benefit the residents, not to remove trees. Are you talking about trees in general that might be
No, I'm
on?
not. No, I'm not. I'm talking about a specific, let me back up and try to be as helpful as I can. The CDBG program is specifically targeted toward assisting low and moderate income residents. And that is done through a variety of different, what they call national guidelines. And if we select something to perform that's in concert with those, then it's then approved. Those include removal of slum and blight, and that's stuff like that's why the dumping prevention program, for instance, because it makes your neighborhoods look horrible. These lots you ride around and you see trees laying down sideways on them, limbs all over the place that have been sitting there for the longest. Now, once again, those actually are the responsibility of the property owners, and many times the property owners don't do it. And The only recourse that the city has is to post that property, giving them a certain period of time to clean it up and get the trees off. If they don't do that, after you've given them that amount of time, the city can step in and do it and then put it on their tax rolls. And because the city does not have a lot of revenue of its own in general funds, and this is clearly a part of a slum and blight problem, HUD allows us to create a program activity that does that, and that's what we do. It's the same thing with demolition. We are in the process of trying, and have been for a couple of years, to meet all of HUD's requirements so that we can take some of the CDBG money and demolish houses and get rid of them. Houses that have been sitting for years and years now that property owners have not done anything with. At one time or another, when I first got here, they had posted something like 50, but they didn't do anything to follow up. After a certain period of time, you can't do anything. You gotta go back and do it all over again. You have to give proper notice, and that's the same kind of thing that we do with where we're cutting grass on lots that belong to private people. We post it, and that's what you saw this past year. We go out and nail a stick in the ground and staple the notice to it because we don't know where these property owners are. And after a certain period of time, we take pictures to show when it was done and so forth. And if they don't do it, then we go in and clean it up, put it on their tax rolls.
One of the reasons I spoke like that, because I know that you were saying that we're so low in funds and that people are setting mattresses. I've tried to see where all of the mattresses are. I do see some places that they are, but it's not in that large of a volume. So if there's money there, and we can alter some of that money towards moving that, why is it such a problem to elaborate on that so hard that we're broke when you can go to that portion of this money's here?
Let me restate what I think you just said. You're saying that when you're putting this together with what I've been saying about us not collecting the full cost of dumping fees. And you're saying that if we don't have enough money to pay for the dumping, why don't we use some of the CDBG money to do it? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, because at the average, you wouldn't have to remove time and time again from that same location. Sometimes people have moved out of there and the house is empty, but the mattress is sitting out there. And that's not all the way down the street. That's once in a while you run into an area that might have that. It was like it was an infestation of it.
And the answer is a 2 or 3 part question. First off, why would you want to do that? Secondly, HUD does not allow you to do that. That's what they call displacement funding. In other words, using block grant money of federal funds to do something that the city is responsible for. We can't use CDBG money to do police or support police and fire activity. That's considered to be part of the city's responsibility. There are some federal grants that are specifically designed to help augment some police and fire departments, but they can't do it unless they can prove that they have a budgeted number of officers and firefighters that's consistent with what the city has normally had, no less. Could have more, but no less. And that all of those positions are filled. And if that's the case, they can apply for those grants for additional people. But that's been the law for forever. They specifically disallow you to use CDBG money to do what they would consider to be the normal purpose for a city government being formed. We couldn't use that money, for example, to do the water lines and stuff, but the money that the city did get that was for that purpose was able to be used, but CDBG could not be. Those are the answers to the question.
Good?
But on the first part as to why would you want to do that,
Okay.
the first part as to why would you want to do that, though, is simple. And that is that you don't know anything that has not gone up in recent years. This 1765 rate that you're charging for trash has probably been that for the last 10 years. And steadily, the price is going up, but not only is the price going up, the amount of trash that you're picking up is going up. And you're right, the same people don't put a mattress out every week. It's maybe this month, this one, next month, another one, maybe none the next, but then others. But the fact is, we have to pay by the ton for every bit of trash we take out there, no matter when it is, or no matter who put it out. And if we're not collecting the money for it, then you're going in the hole.
What I'm thinking is that whenever you hold a position, we've got to be creative in the way that we handle things. And create a way is to save the city and the people, and think of a way that we can creatively take care of this business and keep the city up. So that's what we're looking for, in creativity in running the city. Whereas you got a mind that we're gonna work this out, it's always the way to run it and keep it at a minimum. That's what I was looking for. If there was a loophole of debt being applied, still pick up our trash that you were complaining about. And I thought that would be good to be able to use some of that. That was my only thought.
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that line of thinking, but unfortunately, that's a situation that, well, if there was a creative way to generate more money, then it would work, but unfortunately, there isn't.
Well, I just hate to repeat stuff over and over and over. But I have to repeat this about asking for out report for each one of the entities that have received money from us. When I first came on board as an elected official, they would come into these chambers and give us a report of what they did, who did it, everything. So I'm not sure why that practice has stopped, but when I hear my colleagues as well as people in the community talk about transparency and we don't know, I have to ask that question over and over and over again. To you, Mr. Little, when you bring the report yourself, or send them in to report what they've done? Because we wouldn't know what they didn't do unless we asked. And I hear you say that HUD came here, and I know 2 households that was done by a contractor. And if you're telling me now that HUD says that those 2 houses was okay, then we need to really talk to HUD a little bit with some power. Because I know for a fact that one house that I looked at was shamefully done. And we spent over $50,000 on it, and it wasn't done properly. No one in their right mind would look at that even if they had no experience in construction. And I have some experience in construction. Nobody would say that was a good job. So I'm
Ma'am,
hoping you're not saying that HUD said those 2 houses were done right.
the issue isn't were the houses done right. The issue was the work that was contracted for done right? Here's the thing that I have been trying to get understood ever since I came in here, because I believe in putting stuff out here factually. We handle, because we're basically taking homes, mostly of older people, who qualify. I mean, first off, the qualification is that they've got to be below a certain income level and all that. Some of these homes, when we go into them and look at them, clearly it would take more than a house's worth to really get it fixed up to where it needs to be. But that's not the standard that we're trying to use, fixing it up to where it needs to be. If we had to do that, we'd have to walk away from it, because we don't have that kind of money. But when we see a situation where there's a roof that's leaking, there may be windows that air is blowing through 20 miles an hour, an electrical problem where somebody could get electrocuted or something like that, we go in and look at what the most serious and most critical things are that we can address. We do a write-up and have contractors, in fact, on all of them, we have at least 3 contractors, take a look at those specifications for what we say we want to try to do and give us a price on it. Now, those specifications, understand what I just said, don't include all of this other stuff that we know we don't have the money to do. I mean, we'll go into a house and try to deal with the life safety functions, the things that are critical to that person, because they don't have any place else to live. And we're trying to make it at least safe and livable for them. But we don't have the money to paint the walls or to do some of the other stuff that needs to be done afterward. So when we look at and come up with those prices, we then wind up giving the contract to the person, the lowest responsible bidder, meaning that we know their work. They've done work in other places, and places where the problem wasn't that big and they did everything, it looked beautiful. But in a place where they're only doing these things that we can afford to pay for, that's what they do. They don't necessarily repair the hole that was over there in the wall that we didn't include in the spec.
Okay, Mr.
All right?
I
And
got
I'm saying,
I
that's
got
what
you.
happens.
That makes sense.
Yes.
That you just, but now I'm gonna ask this question because now I need to know. Who gives the specification on the job? Who makes those?
The contractor goes in, does the assessment, correction, subcontractor to us, goes in, makes the assessment, writes up everything there that's wrong, and then they do an estimate before it goes to any contractor to look at. And then they present that to me. I look at it, and I've got to make a decision. We pass on this because we can't afford to do it. Or I look at the total amount and I look at that person's situation. And if the result is, if we pass on it, that person's gonna still be living there with all those same problems, and we could help some, I'll make the decision, let's go ahead, take care of the roof, let's do the electrical. I don't want somebody to get killed
So the subcontractor, let's go back to that.
All right,
Who is that?
that's right now Southwest Michigan Community Action.
So they actually write the specs up and then blah, 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 and it follows through the process.
And then they submit it to me to review and make the determination.
So now I know, I'm not gonna call these people's name out,
Uh-huh.
because I don't know if they really want me to or not. But I've been following it for a long time, and
Mhm,
a roof was replaced
mhm,
in the most shoddiest way that I've seen.
mhm.
For that kind of money, for us to say, you got a huge roofing problem,
Mhm,
and we gonna fix it, and it's gonna cost us more than $50,000.
mhm.
And here's a contractor that actually supposed to be doing the work, and when the work gets done, there's some shoddy stuff done. Now, nobody, so far,
Mhm.
I've heard two things,
Mhm.
that they were gonna come and check it out. Then I heard
You're
that they were
probably
gonna,
talking about the same one that
they
I.
were gonna bring you to check it out.
Mhm.
So my question to you, that's not the first,
We sent that contractor back because that was in that contractor's specs to perform, and they were paid for it. So they're going back to correct that problem where the holes are
yeah.
showing underneath.
So now, that's number one, and there's number two that I'm knowing of. That's and then I'm hearing my people come and talk to me,
Mhm,
not just one,
mhm.
but they all saying the same thing about that agency and how they're treating our people. So I need to come back to you,
Mhm,
for you to give us an exit report,
mhm,
2023,
mhm,
on what they did.
mhm.
I mean, we need to see it so we can know what's going on.
That's what the purpose of this process is. Now, one thing this process didn't cover that I was a little disappointed about, and that is this is required on the CDBG program. We did 7 houses, I believe, on CDBG, where we had initially thought we would only be able to do 3. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we did 13 other roofs on houses and other work through the CD program. That's a Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Program. And out of all of those roofs and so forth that were done, I'm only aware of 2 complaints. One of them has been resolved, and it was a minor thing. This I don't consider minor. A contractor has to either correct that or he won't be working for us.
Okay. I want, as an elected official,
Mhm,
to see a report, an out report,
mhm,
from every one of those ones that the Senior Nutrition Center, they have some requirements that they have to do.
mhm,
I'd like to verify that, as well as, you did give us information about the summer youth program
mhm,
and how many students we took care of there.
mhm.
So, and the rehab of these houses, the Southwest Action Agency,
Mhm.
they need to report to us exactly what they did.
That's what I'm doing, is reporting to you
No,
what they did.
you didn't tell us exactly what they did. Now
Yes,
you
I
tell-
did. What they did is, and that's
I want
what,
to
and
see the
that's what the
money.
contract is supposed.
I wanna see how much money we gave them. I wanna see what they spent the money on. I wanna see what was the outcome of them spending the money. That is now, if I ask for it and you tell me I'm gonna get it, and 6 months to a year later, I still do not have it.
I'm not gonna tell you you're going to get that. I can tell you how I can get that to you. But, and the only thing I'm saying, I'm not trying to be obstinate. I'm saying we're not gonna do the kind of work that's gonna be necessary to do that. But what I can present to you is already in the computer, and I can put it out, and that is, we do a part of the IDIS program that we operate on requires us to put in performance data. Just like we're talking about the information we gave you on the summer workers and so forth, we can also give you the information on housing units that were done and so forth, what the amounts were. I don't see it as a major problem if it would help anything to list the contracts and what the amount of them were, because again, there was only 7 on this program. We can do that. But as far as going and doing a major, we're not gonna go back and do all of that. We've done what the program requires. We'll give you all of the information that you're asking for.
I'm asking for the senior nutrition, I'm asking for the tree demo, I'm asking for anything that you spend government money, citizen
We
money.
will put that together for you.
I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
I'd also, like to ask you, we have an inspector's department in here. Am I right?
Yes, you do.
Why aren't they pushed to do the job of inspecting to see if these, what do you call, repair persons, or these projects are put together according to the specifications? I mean, I'm trying to find out what is that department doing anyways here? And there's
That
money
department-
being paid out into the inspections. So inspectors, what, don't they carry over into this too?
No, they're
Why
not
not?
involved in CDBG beyond the issuing the initial permits. And we have to do the inspections on the work to be sure it's done in accordance
Who's the
with.
we?
We, the CDBG staff people and the people we contract with.
Where are these people that's supposed to go behind them? Or do they, why did she run into these people with undesirable work? And she just pointed out to you, because
Well,
it was
here-
always a smooth job.
Here again, you're not listening to what I pointed out to you. Daily in dealing with, working with and trying to help people, and I know you know as well as I do, managing expectations of people is not the easiest thing in the world. I get people call me up, I pick up the phone down there. I need my so-and-so fixing it. Why did you call me to tell me that? I'm the city manager right now, the acting city manager, or whatever. Well, somebody said, okay, I need you to call this number. You can tell them that we referred you. They'll take all your information to see first if you qualify, and then so what we can do for you, and then we'll go through the process. But I am constantly working with, and it's just a normal part of what we do. And we expect them to understand that. People want everything done. There's nothing wrong with wanting everything done. It's just that we can't do it. We can only do what we can do. And we're only inspecting what we paid to get done. We say to people when we go in, we can't do this and this and this and this. In fact, there was one of them recently that we had, which was really a situation that was difficult because the house had electrical problems, it had roof problems, it had a number of other different problems. We got to about $40,000, I think, and said, we can't go any farther. We wound up working with Community Action Agency, and they used their weatherization program to put the woman's roof on. And we said, okay, you can do that, we can do the rest of this. But when we finished, there still were a lot of things that weren't done. We couldn't paint the walls, we couldn't redo the floors, we didn't have the money to do it. It was not part of what we ever said we were going to do. But we dealt with the major issues that affected the life and safety of the people that lived in that home. And that's all that we could be expected to do.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that once they have completed their work and they final paid for this job that they've done,
Yes,
shouldn't there be some accountability to see if they done what they said they would do?
I just said we do that.
I didn't remember hearing you say that.
I just said we do
Because
that.
she had already
We
brought us
go
up
back
there.
in and look at what we paid for to make sure that it's done the way we approved it to be done, the way we contracted for them to do it. And when they've done that, that's all that we can do. Now, if you were doing a general inspection, you'd probably say, well, wait a minute. There's a problem here with the wall. There's some problems with the floor. We knew that when we went in there. We didn't have enough money to do all of that. We
Didn't you
didn't
say that you were?
didn't take that
with the
on.
work that was done too?
do what?
Didn't you say you weren't pleased also with the work that this particular person that I guess you.
And we sent the person back. We're sending them back to correct it.
Why hadn't you went in and investigated that prior to her going in and seeing it? And letting you know?
I don't go out and look at every one of them. We got people to do that. But in this instance, this same rose to the level that it came to my attention, so I went to look at it. And I do that from time to time whenever there appears to be a problem. But that's not something I do every day. I'm too busy trying to make sure that the water plant
That's-
keeps operating and the police are doing theirs and that everybody else is doing what they have to do.
That's what the problem is. If one citizen come and say something to me, and then two citizens come and say something to me about these entities, that's another reason why I wanna see what their report says, what they were supposed to do. If they did this with 2 residents, they might have did it with 3 or 6 or all 7. So we know that you just can't go, you have to go with a complaint. And if these 2 individuals I talked to all the way through their program, and I told them, do not sign that off on anything until you get a solid thing that they did, and both of them signed off on it. I was so disgusted, I was like, you signed off on it and it looks like this?
It may be because they knew that they were wrong in terms of what they were complaining about, that they knew they got what they signed off
No, that
was
wasn't
going
the
to be
case.
done.
That wasn't the case with
Yeah.
these 2, because one you
Okay.
already know about, and the other one I know about. So
Well, I
that
can,
wasn't the case, that's why I really wanna know
understand.
what they're doing.
I can
and
tell
who
you.
the whole responsible when
Well-
they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Well,
Of course, that just makes you do some more work.
the buck
But
stops here. It's
that
my
should not
responsibility.
happen.
Yes.
They get a big chunk of money to help us. The county got a chunk of money, the city got a chunk of money, and they got a chunk of money. And it's all running through their pocketbook.
If I
And
might.
so we wanna know what they're doing.
If I might, because, I'm paid to help get you the right information. All of these agencies get, as you say, a chunk of money to do certain things. They do it according to their operation, according to their leadership and whatnot. And nobody's ever pleased with all of it. And sometimes some of them outright, sometimes outright wrong, and they have to catch it too and correct it, just like we have to do. But Just like the question that was asked a little while ago about homeless. The city of Benton Harbor is not directly involved in anything to do with the homeless, but we have a homeless shelter center over here. We have the Salvation Army, and we're a member of the Human Resource Network, HRN, that we participate in meetings with and try to help and do whatever we can. But city can't be everything to everybody. We do what we can. You
I
know?
got you.
Yeah.
But I like to hold people that we pay
Mhm.
responsible.
Uh,
I don't care if they getting $1 or 100,000.
I
I wanna hold them responsible.
hold them
Because I've been
responsible.
disrespected in my lifetime. And I think that these people, our people are being disrespected. And I don't wanna keep paying,
Well,
I don't wanna keep paying these entities if they're not being respected for, if they're doing it right, it's all fine with me. Give them some more money if they're doing it right.
I
But
have
for
a
us not to
person,
have any accountability or hold their feet to the fire,
I have a person right now that I know very well that we went out of our way to help this person and to do what we could to try to make the situation better. It was explained to them in the very beginning that the amount of stuff that they had to do, that there's no way we could cover it. That all we could do is help with some of the worst of the situations. We had people go out and take pictures of the person's home, of all the different things that were wrong, the things that we were gonna try to do something about, as well as the ones that we would not. That person's work was completed and done a long time ago. Every time I see that person, it's still something that the contractors didn't do. And I'm telling you, you knew the contractor wasn't to do that. You were told that before it started. They couldn't do all of that, but they're still saying, everybody who makes a complaint don't necessarily mean that there really is a problem.
no. But it is everyone, every human being that comes to me with a complaint, I look into it to see if it is real.
All right?
And if I don't get the information, that means it just automatically sets big red flags up to me that somebody's holding information from me. It might not be true, but I feel like it when I don't get information. And I have asked for out reports on everybody, especially the ones that I'm getting complaints about. The food, so please, is there a timeline when I can expect this? I've asked for it for a good year
Here
now.
again, so that you and I don't do the same thing we're talking about these people, as you and I come to some agreement on exactly what it is we're talking about getting you. I'll get with you and we'll see between what you're asking and what we can do, what we're gonna provide, and then we'll get you a timeline.
And I don't see too much information that you can share with me.
Well, I'm not gonna bring you the people's names and, there is.
Redacted, do it like they did
personal
when I was in the service. Cross it out.
Yeah,
Put their social security number, cross it out.
Okay.
But I need to see what they did with our money. That's the bottom line. I just need to see what they did
I'm
with our
not
money.
going to pull every individual record and go through redacting and copying and bringing that. So I'm trying to ask you what's a reasonable way to address what you're asking. We
Right.
take care of all of that stuff as a part of the program. We don't have a lot of extra time to just do all this extra work. Just let us know what it is that you're looking for, and short of everybody's file. And because we're
I
not
need
going
to
there.
know what they're spending our money with for,
I will
and
give you a
and the
breakdown.
outcome of what they spent that money for. That's all I need to know. So if it is a problem,
All right,
I'm gonna come back
Then
to
let
you
me-
and
let
ask
me-
you to solve.
let me say it like this then. I'm going to get a breakdown for you on the number of houses. I don't even have a problem with listing how much was spent on each house. And the total amount that was spent for houses. All right, and I'll get that to you.
Yeah,
And I
well,
can do that
I
within the next
appreciate that.
couple of weeks.
there's several houses that come up in the AP list,
Mhm.
I can't get no information on. They tell me when I ask them to come over here and ask the question.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I need that information.
Mhm.
And the senior nutrition program,
Mhm.
the information that I hear every day about the nutrition program. It's already a
What nutrition program is it you're
senior,
hearing about?
senior nutrition
But
program,
whose senior
the
nutrition?
one we paying for.
Right, so there's several of them out here,
No, the one we paying for,
all right?
the one that we give extra money.
And what is
From
it?
my understanding, we
What
give
is it
extra
that
money
you're
for
hearing?
Benton Harbor residents to get fresh food and fruit. I believe that's what it says.
Only certain Benton Harbor residents. Only certain Benton Harbor residents, the
Only-
ones that are already clients of that group.
That's
And
all
we
of us.
provided- No, it is not. It
No,
is not.
it's a big portion.
No, it's
And I
not
would
even a big
But
portion.
then show me the paperwork that say how many they feeding
We can
from
do that.
from the money we're feeding them.
We can do that.
And they're Benton Harbor residents
Mhm.
that's involved in the program.
They're all Benton
That's all
Harbor
I need to
residents.
know.
You'll have-
Because everybody in Benton Harbor and Benton Township, even St. Joe, and
Mhm.
they get that food,
Mhm.
and they all say the same thing. I
didn't
won't
un-
repeat it.
I didn't understand that. What do you mean?
Everybody, there's all the communities that get that lunch that's
Yes.
delivered to them,
Mhm.
and they all say the same thing
And what's
about the lunch.
What same thing is that? Because we're not paying for the lunch.
No, but you're paying for that additional stuff,
That's correct.
and that's what I wanna make sure
Mhm.
that our Benton Harbor resident is getting that additional stuff that might improve the meal. I don't know.
No, it's not put in the meal. It's provided to them to have to
Extra.
use, yes.
Well, I need to know that because from what I'm seeing and what I'm understanding, I need to know that, Mr. Little. And it's very important because so I won't feel like somebody trying to skullduggery.
We can get that for you, it's not a problem. Every time they submit a request for voucher, which is every month, they submit right along with it the number of people that was served and all that information. We put it into the system. We'll get it for you.
All right, that's wonderful,
All right.
Miss. Now,
But it's important that we understand what we're getting and what it does. It's not, part of the reason we don't try to get into doing all that kind of detail with everybody is because everybody's got a different perception of something. But we'll get it and explain to you what it is. We'll do that.
I need that. I need
All right.
that very much so I do, Miss Now.
Yes, I'm gonna be brief as possible because we don't wanna spend all evening here. And, I wanna make it very clear why I ask questions and why I feel the way that I do, because I've said and I've seen a lot of things that goes on. One of, for instances, not particularly in this area, but I see the nonchalant of really trying to get away with some of the things that is due to, our community. As I had came and asked and mentioned, and I'm sure you had to overhear, when I complained about the tree that was there as they work on the streets and why it's grown into the telegram post. Well, it's a safety issue when they cut it off to put the curb in, the roots off, and then that goes going under the sidewalk. Well, now if that comes down and hurt some of the residents, citizens or something, then that's another cost to the city, because that person could lose their life, injury, or something else. So things, when it's going on, and we see these things, we're supposed to set up alarm. I was told that, well, if you see this here, why don't you go to the electric company, because this tree and the post is running it together. That's not my job. That's the engineer's job. I call it to their attention, And they're supposed to go to the electric company if there's something that the electric company or whatever is supposed to be done. So there's supposed to be, transparency in anything that's being done here in the city.
Ma'am, if I can help you out with that. Because you feel that way doesn't necessarily make it so. Who's gonna pay the engineer to go to the electric company? He's not gonna do it
He's
for
not
you.
gonna call him, he can call him and have him come out and look at it.
Of course, sure he could, but he could
Well, why should
call
I?
because it's your property.
That's his job. That's not my property, that's city's property. That's on the tree lawn.
That's
And the
another.
tree lawn is a property owner's responsibility.
That's
We've
another.
been over that over and over again.
That's another problem too.
Yes.
We'll address that later about Avamarch being accountable for the things that they don't do.
Mhm.
So that'll come at another date.
Actually,
If we don't have any more comments, we will
thank you.
draw our meeting out.
Let's do.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, please.
It's a question, so you don't get up. Were there any, somebody reported some mattresses to be picked up off of Broadway today?
I have no idea about that.
Well,
It's just that
the reason why I'm asking is because I know that for a fact, the house that the mattresses were out in front of, they had bed bugs, but the mattress sat out there until the trash collection came. I don't know where those mattresses went. I don't know if the trash man got them or what.
Well, we do have a process. I really can't explain it to you, but I do know we have a process to pick up those things. So when I do talk to residents, I can only tell them what I know about the process. We haven't changed the fees, I don't believe,
We
but
haven't.
there is a process for them to call City Hall, pay to get those items picked up, and city and Public Works will pick them up. We do have a process. We're working on revising it, but right now, we do have a process.
Now, he brought up another very important point that we are not dealing with yet, but at some point we're gonna have to. Most communities won't even pick up those mattresses unless they put them in some kind of cover
That's what I
and
meant.
zip them up because of that bed bug issue, the very thing you just mentioned. Because those things are extremely difficult to get rid of. It's unfair to the people who are doing the work, picking them up, to be exposed to them. And they shouldn't even be picked up without having a cover put over them so that they can't get into everything else.
That's something that, along with that conversation of the fees and the other thing, we need to address because
Yes,
this
we
is a new day and time.
Thank you.
Back in the day, they just throw kerosene on them and burn them up. We can't do that anymore.
My question was, were there someone that called and wanted those
We don't
mattresses?
know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Well, who,
We don't know.
where would I find that out about? Just the fact of who called in about the mattresses to get them picked up. There was
That's,
only three.
that's not public information, Mr. Dunn.
And because today was trash day, he may have just picked them up in the normal course of going by.
Yeah, that's what I know. So, okay, you guys not that concerned about it, I won't either.
Yes,
I'm done.
But he's made a good point.
I know there's a point to that.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, I just wanna know where is the money being spent over here in Southwest Michigan over here? And also for the homeless, women's homeless shelter, there's too much going down there. People are getting put out. It's a whole lot. That place needs to be investigated. And, the homeless, they do matter.
Yes,
It's the people that think they got all this money right now. They think they set, but every dog has his day. Every dog's gonna get brought down. It's that time. If Diddy got brought down, oh Lord. I apologize if I said anything wrong.
We appreciate your comment.
I apologize,
And
but
somewhere
it doesn't
along
make
the
any
line-
kind of sense. It don't. I'm sitting here and watch. It don't make any kind of sense. All that money they get, all they got is attitude over there. The way our young girls are being treated over there at that shelter, oh no. I want to speak up because I have worked with children for over 20 years and I will not allow. I don't care how much money you got, what you drive, or whatever. Because I know I got a God I can go to and I can go pray to him and let him know. God bring you down. He will bring you down.
Okay.
I apologize if I said anything wrong, but nobody's saying anything.
That's
It's
because-
time for people to say something.
It's because we
It's
don't
time for
operate
people
the
to
shelter.
speak up. Where is the money? Why come they not showing us the money? Why? Where's the money going?
We're gonna get an answer.
We need an answer.
You come back.
I want to know. What
come
you
back,
mean you
we
can't
gonna get
tell
an
me
answer.
where the money
Right.
going?
You deserve it.
I need to know.
I ain't gonna have no answer
I
about no
wanna know.
homeless shelter.
I want to know. It's funny to you. Keep
No, it
laughing.
isn't funny. What
Keep
I'm,
laughing. Bless
ma'am,
you,
what
man.
I'm saying is we're
Bless
not gonna
you.
have any answer about any homeless
Bless
shelter.
you.
We don't operate one.
Bless you, man.
Well, I'll show
I
you.
want to know
I'll
where the
show
money
you where-
going. Why you can't tell us where the money going?
He gonna
Don't
tell
walk
us.
out now.
He gonna
We
tell
have
us.
anything to
Don't
do
walk
with the
out
money
now.
for
He
the
gonna
homeless
tell us
shelter.
this. He gonna
You
tell
gonna
us.
tell us?
You come back and we gonna have that conversation. Cause
I'm concerned about our young people.
well, you got a reason. to
They done
be.
messed up our young people a whole lot. I'm concerned about them. These so-called big folks, okay?
I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
Mhm.
comment. And thank you for coming in and listen. Come back again.
Yes, ma'am.
Please do.
Thank you. I apologize if I said
You okay?
anything wrong.
You okay?
I'm
Thank
just tired of this. You look at Ben Harbor, it's a mess.
You're our boss.
Man, come on. You. I'm gonna go. I've got to go. I gotta get. I'm gonna leave.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Commission, thank you, Mr. Little.
Certainly.
And,
And,
that's your name.
and she is making,
Thank you.
some reasonable points, but we don't have anything to do with that. We have no knowledge of it, other than I get a report from the HRN as to what each agency had and whatnot, that I'll gladly share with you. But they're the ones who determine Salvation Army, the homeless shelter. They're the people who decide.
We know, but we just wanna make sure that when they come and ask for the citizens' money, that they're doing what they're supposed to.
Understand?
And it's a horrible thing. I'm in the human infrastructure, as you know. I'll bring up human infrastructure before I bring up brick and mortar. But human infrastructure and what's going on with our city is not human. There's no human compassion at all to what's going on with what the city is doing to the homeless. So we got a long way to go. And if we really look at what Jesus said, we'll have a roadmap of how to treat the homeless. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We over with.
That lady's name was Angie, she wouldn't give me her last name.
That's all right. She good.
So I don't know if we,